Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. So in this video I'm just going to go over all of the Blu-rays and DVDs and 4Ks that I've picked up in March 2026. It's quite a lot to get through, so I'm not going to sit here rambling on anymore. Let's just get straight into it. So the first one I have here, this is a movie that, I've been on a bit of a disaster movie, 1970s conspiracy thriller kick at the moment, so you will see a theme with a lot of the movies that I show in this haul. But the first one I have here is a DVD, and it is a movie called The Cassandra Crossing. So this is a thriller from the 1970s. It stars Richard Harris, and it's about this terrorist that's on the run, and he gets infected with this virus, and he ends up stowing away on this train that is traveling across Europe. The military are hunting him down, but they realise they have a bigger problem because he is stowed away on this train, and all of the people on the train are now at risk of catching this virus and spreading it further. And Richard Harris plays like a doctor who just happens to be on board the train, and he kind of becomes the main sort of hero of the film, if you like. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It was a good, solid, tense thriller. Comes to quite a dark, quite bleak ending, I will say, but still a really enjoyable film. So yeah, that is The Cassandra Crossing. Next up, we have a horror movie from 2003. And I always remember seeing the cover for this one in the shops and in HMV. I always remember seeing the DVD around, and I was always kind of interested in watching it, but the reviews always put me off. But my curiosity got the better of me, and in the end, I decided to watch it, and I thought this movie was okay. So it is Darkness Falls. So the best way to describe this film is it's kind of like horror movie version of The Tooth Fairy. It's about this small town in America where hundreds of years ago this woman was put to death because she had been wrongfully accused of killing these children. So she's put to death, and then years later she kind of becomes a bit of a legend of the town. And she comes back as this sort of demon to take her revenge on other kids in the town. And it's basically about this young boy who witnesses his mother at the start of the film getting killed by the demon, and then it shifts in time about a good 20 years later where he returns as an adult, and the demon has also returned to carry on her reign of terror, basically. But yeah, I thought this film was pretty decent. It's got some creepy moments in there. It's got a very short runtime, so yeah, it flies by pretty quickly. It's not amazing, and some of the bad reviews for it are probably justified, but I didn't think it was as bad as I thought it was going to be. So yeah, that is Darkness Falls. Next up, we have another sort of political thriller from the 1970s. This one stars Charles Bronson. And I was quite surprised I'd never heard of this film, but then I realised that I think it's because it was released as a TV movie based on true events, and it is Raid on Entebbe. So yeah, this is a true story based on this plane that was hijacked in the 1970s, and the terrorists ended up sort of diverting it to Nigeria. And the hostages were kind of kept captive for a few days whilst, the American government were trying to sort of negotiate their release. And in the end, they kind of had to just go in and rescue the hostages themselves. And yeah, I thought this was a pretty decent film. It's a bit slow to get going, but once you get to that second half, there's some really good bits in it. It's got a great cast as well. You've got Peter Finch, you've got Charles Bronson, of course, you've got Yaphet Kotto. You've also got a very young James Woods in there who plays one of the soldiers involved with rescuing the hostages. So yeah, it's got a great cast. And yeah, I can't really say much more than that. I thought it was a pretty good TV movie from the 1970s. So that is Raid on Entebbe. Next up, we have a British film from the early 1990s. I picked this one up mainly for the cast, as it has Robert Carlyle and Ricky Tomlinson, and it's also directed by the great Ken Loach, and that is Riff Raff. And yeah, this film is basically about Robert Carlyle's character. He's like this young man who comes to London looking for work. He ends up getting a job on a building site. He also meets this girl that he falls in love with. They have a bit of a romance, but then it turns into a bit of a tumultuous relationship. And you've also got sort of another subplot involving the building site that he works on, and sort of the conditions that they have to work with. So there's a lot of sort of themes in this about the workers' rights and safety in the workplace and things like that. And I think it's kind of ironic that it stars Ricky Tomlinson, who was involved in a lot of that before he became an actor. You know, he was he worked on building sites and he campaigned for, you know, sort of better conditions and things like that, and he ended up paying a bit of a price for standing up for himself. But yeah, that's beside the point. Really, really good film, to be fair. Very underrated. And yeah, just a really solid drama. Got some comedy in there as well. Got a bit of romance. Some heavy hitting moments. But yeah, really, really enjoyable British film from the early 1990s. That is Riff Raff. And the last DVD I have here is another horror film from the early 2000s. I think this one came out in 2002. Again, this was another film I used to see on the shelves all the time, but the reviews, again, always put me off. But I have to admit, I really enjoyed this one. So it is They. Now, you can probably just about see here that it says this is a Wes Craven film. Well, it's not a Wes Craven film. I think he might have been an executive producer on the film, but other than that, I don't think he really had anything to do with it. And it's a bit of an insult to the actual director, Robert Harmon. He's best known for directing one of my all-time favourite films, which is The Hitcher. But yeah, anyway, the film itself it's about these kids who, they kind of suffer from like these night terrors. And, you know, initially they kind of just think it's just their nightmares or their dreams, and they kind of don't really think too much of it. But as they get older, they start to realise that the things that was scaring them in their nightmares may actually be real, and there may sort of be this other dimension where these demons and these beings are trying to get out. And I thought this was a really effective horror film. Has more of a psychological feel to it. You know, there's nothing really in terms of jump scares. The creatures aren't really seen all that much. Everything's kind of kept in the shadows, and it's more about atmosphere, really. But yeah, I thought this was a really enjoyable film. And yeah, just very underrated horror from the early 2000s. So that is They. Right, so on to the Blu-rays now. And the first one we have here is a collection of 4 films, and it is the Airport series. So we have Airport 1975, Airport 77, and The Concorde, Airport 1979. So this is a collection of disaster movies, I'd say. They don't really sort of connect together. They just form part of the Airport series, essentially. The first one I wouldn't say is much of a disaster film. It concentrates more on sort of this main character who's like the manager of an airport, and it's just about sort of the things he has to deal with one particular evening in the airport. But from like the second one onwards, they do become a bit more disaster movie-esque. These films are beyond ridiculous. Like, I think the second and third one, and even the fourth one, are, you know, there's some bits in it that they're just, you know, it's just so silly. But if you can just switch your brain off and just watch them for what they are, they're actually a lot of fun. I think the second one in particular was my favourite. That one stars Charlton Heston. But there's good cast throughout all 4 films. You've got George Kennedy, who I think is in all 4 of them. Charlton Heston in the second one, like I said. But there's like Burt Lancaster. You've got James Stewart. You know, there's some great sort of classic actors in these films. And yeah, overall, they are very fun. But like I said, very, very silly disaster films. So yeah, that is the Airport series. Next up, we have a film that I missed in the cinema, but I finally got around to watching it. And it is Ballerina from the world of John Wick. So yeah, this forms parts of the John Wick universe. It concentrates on Ana de Armas's character, who's kind of working for sort of like the same organisation that John Wick is a part of. And yeah, I had a good time with this film. I know it sort of had quite a troubled history with production, but overall I thought it was pretty good. Great action scenes, just what you'd expect from a John Wick film. Or a spin-off, and yeah, I can't really say much more than that. I had a pretty good time with this, and yeah, it was a worthy addition to the series. So yeah, that is Ballerina. Next up, we have a film from the early 90s, and this is a film I hadn't actually heard of. And when I came across it and saw like the artwork for it and all that kind of stuff, I thought it looked pretty bad. But reading the reviews, I heard a lot of really good things about it, so I decided to check it out. So it is Beyond the Law. This is from 1993 and it stars Charlie Sheen. And apparently it's based on a true story about this. He plays this cop who has to go undercover with this motorcycle gang sort of around, I think it's sort of set sort of in the Arizona desert sort of region of America. And yeah, because this motorcycle gang are possibly dealing in drugs, and he's kind of assigned with going undercover and taking them down from within. And I thought this was a pretty solid thriller. It wasn't very action heavy, but it did have some tense moments in it. You've got Michael Madsen in there playing the main villain. So there's a lot of good elements to it. And yeah, I thought it was a very, very solid thriller from the early 90s. So yeah, that is Beyond the Law. Next up, we have a horror film that came out, I think in the last year or so. This is from the directors of the film Talk to Me. And it is Bring Her Back. So yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Talk to Me despite all the hype. So I kind of went into this one sort of a little bit wary, but I had heard really good things about it. And yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this film. Part horror, but I'd say it's more drama. It's about these two kids who, after losing their father, they have to go and live with this woman played by Sally Hawkins. She kind of like fosters them. But once they start living with her, they realize that she may not be exactly what she says she is. And yet, there's some pretty effective scenes in this, some chilling moments. But like I said, it probably feels a little bit more like a drama than a horror film, but it does have some very effective moments in it. And I think the ending itself is quite sad in a way. I kind of like went away from the film 5 minutes after, and I was still kind of thinking about the ending. So yeah, it did definitely have an effect on me in a certain kind of way, but I probably would have wanted it to have been a little bit more scarier. But still a really good film. That is Bring Her Back. Next up, we have The China Syndrome. So yeah, another film from the 1970s that's sort of like a bit of a conspiracy thriller. This one stars Jane Fonda. She plays this news reporter, and Michael Douglas plays her cameraman. And they're assigned to go to this power plant to cover a story. But whilst they're there, they witness a very near nuclear meltdown that the people at the plant manage to stop. And they kind of downplay it, the people who work there, but they think there's something in this, so they want to kind of sell this story. And as you can imagine, the people who work at the power plants don't really want them to talk about it, and they'll stop at nothing basically to make sure they stay silent. You also got Jack Lemmon in there, who plays one of the people who works at the power plant, and he eventually sides with them and wants them to sort of run with the story, and then his life starts to be in danger as well. And yeah, I thought this was a real tense, effective 1970s thriller, similar to the types of films like The Parallax View, All the President's Men, films like that from the 70s. So yeah, if you like that sort of stuff, I would definitely recommend The China Syndrome. So yeah, The China Syndrome. Next up, we have another film from the 1970s, another thriller, and this was a fantastic film. I really enjoyed this one. And it's a film called Colossus, The Forbin Project. So I think this came out in 1970. It's based on a novel by D.F. Jones. And the plot of the film, it stars Eric Braeden. He plays this scientist who is sort of hired by the US government to build this supercomputer. And the purpose of the supercomputer is that it will be in charge of their nuclear defense system. So he manages to build the computer, but then the government find out that this computer is actually a lot smarter than they intended for it to be. And it starts essentially holding America at its will. And at the same time, the Russians have also built their own supercomputer, but they realize as well that their computer has the exact same problems, and the two computers start sort of working together and holding their own countries at will. I thought this was a brilliant film, very tense in places, very bleak, very dark. And yeah, I can't really say much more than that. Very underrated. Very glad I checked this one out. Great sci-fi thriller from the 70s. So yeah, that is Colossus, The Forbin Project. Next up, we have another disaster movie from the 1970s, and this one is The Hindenburg. So yeah, this is based on the true story, of course, of the Hindenburg, which travelled from Germany to America, and literally as it was coming into land, it burst into flames. And there's been loads of theories over the years about what really happened to it. With this film, it plays with the idea that there was a conspiracy involved, and that the destruction of the Hindenburg was intentional. Stars George C. Scott, who plays sort of the security officer on board the Hindenburg, and who's sort of assigned to be aboard the Hindenburg and make sure nothing happens, because they have heard rumblings that there is someone who wants to sabotage it. And yeah, I thought it was a pretty good film. It takes a bit of a while to get going, but stick with it. It does get pretty good towards the end. So yeah, that is The Hindenburg. Next up, we have another 70s disaster movie, and this one is Earthquake, starring Charlton Heston. Yeah, I can remember seeing bits of this film when I was a kid. It was that typical Sunday afternoon movie that was always on, like, say, every other Sunday. So I do feel like I have seen this film before, but it had been a long time. And yeah, as you can tell from the title, it's about an earthquake. It's sort of different groups of people, different characters living in Los Angeles, and this earthquake hits, and it's just how all of these different characters deal with the earthquake and the aftermath of it. I thought it was a pretty good disaster film. Again, it takes a bit of a while to get going. The earthquake doesn't really hit until about an hour into the film. But from then on, it's got some really good moments. And yeah, I thought it was very enjoyable for what it was. So yeah, that is Earthquake. Next up, we have a new film from the director Ari Aster, and we have Eddington. Now, I can't really say too much about this film. I've not had a chance to watch it. I missed this one in the cinema, but I'm a big fan of the director, especially his first two films. I've not actually seen his third film, Beau is Afraid. I just didn't really fancy it, to be honest. But this one looks a lot more up my street. I feel like it's going to have that sort of neo-noir Western sort of feel to it. And it's got a great set of actors, I should say, in the movie. So, yeah. I can't really say much more than that, but I do look forward to checking it out. So yeah, that is Eddington. Next up, we have an action film starring the late, great Chuck Norris. Yeah, as of filming, Chuck Norris sadly passed away, I think about a week ago now. And I've been sort of collecting a lot of his films over the last few years, and there's just been the odd few that I haven't been able to get my hands on. But I decided since his passing that I want to put that right, and I want to sort of get some of the titles that I still need from his filmography. So the first one we have here, this one only just arrived today, so I've not had a chance to watch this one yet, but it is Forced Vengeance. So it comes in this very nice steelbook. This is a Spanish release. And yeah, I'm not a big steelbook fan, but this is quite a nice design. There's like embossing all over this. That's the back of it. You even get some art cards in there as well. But yeah, I can't say too much about the movie because I've not seen it, but I'm hoping it's just got plenty of action, plenty of fights, and all that good stuff you expect from a Chuck Norris movie. So yeah, that is Forced Vengeance. Next up, we have a brand new 4K release from Arrow Video, and we have the classic Hard Boiled, directed by John Woo. Now, I actually did a unboxing for this particular release, so if you want to go and check that out, I'll leave a link in the description below. I won't really say too much more about it here. I think I pretty much gave all my thoughts on this movie and this release in that video. But yeah, just one of the best action films going, one of the best Hong Kong action films. Probably my favourite John Woo film, and yeah, just a fantastic release from Arrow Video. So yeah, I can't say much more than that. That is Hard Boiled. Next up, we have The Hard Way, starring Michael J. Fox and James Woods. And this is a buddy cop action comedy from the early 90s. Michael J. Fox plays this actor who feels like he's not really being taken seriously as an actor, and he wants to do some research for his next role, which is like a cop thriller. So he is assigned to follow James Woods around, who plays this police detective. But it's a bit of a mess from the get-go, really, because James Woods just doesn't want to have to deal with this because he's currently assigned to track down this serial killer played by Stephen Lang. Yeah, it's a really fun film. These two have a very good chemistry together. It's got action, it's got comedy. It's even got a bit of romance in there as well. And yeah, it pretty much just does what it says on the tin. It's just a sort of a buddy cop action comedy from the early 90s. And you pretty much get exactly what you get with it. So yeah, that is The Hard Way. Next up, we have another Chuck Norris movie to add to the collection. And this is a film I hadn't really heard all that great things about it, but I wanted to check it out anyway because I am trying to complete his filmography. So we have Hellbound from 1994, and yeah, the best way to describe this film is it is Chuck Norris traveling to Israel to confront Satan, who is trying to take over the world. It's kind of like End of Days with Arnie, but instead we have Chuck Norris, and yeah, it's not that great. It has a very sort of TV movie kind of quality to it. I believe it was the last film that Cannon Films ever made, and obviously Chuck had a long association with Cannon. Yeah, it's not terrible, but it's not great either. It's got a bit of action in there, but it's even got a bit of comedy and a bit of horror. But yeah, it's just maybe not executed as well as it could be, but it's not bad. So yeah, that is Hellbound. Next up, we have a drama from 1997. This one directed by the great Ang Lee, and it is The Ice Storm. So the best way to describe this film is it's a drama set in the 1970s, and it's about these two different families that live in this sort of affluent suburb in this quiet American town. Both of the families are dealing with a lot of personal issues, but they both have relations with each other as well, if that makes sense. Like the two families know each other. And it has sort of a soap opera kind of feel where, you know, the husband and the wife have their own story, the kids have their own sort of subplot, and it's all sort of mixed together. But all this is happening whilst this ice storm hits the town, which kind of just makes, well, it complicates things in a metaphorical sense, essentially. But I thought this was a really good film, very heavy-hitting drama in places, and a really good cast. You've got Kevin Kline, you've got Christina Ricci, you've got Tobey Maguire, Elijah Wood, Sigourney Weaver. Just some great actors in this film, and yeah, just a fantastic drama from the late 90s, I should say. So yeah, that is The Ice Storm. Next up, we have Ready or Not. So the whole reason why I picked this film up is because when I went to the cinema last, they showed the trailer for the second one, and I was really sold on the trailer, and I decided I needed to finally watch this film because this film had just kind of been eluding me for years. It stars Samara Weaving. She plays this girl who is just married into this family, and as part of her sort of initiation into the family, she has to play a game with the whole family. But the game that she ends up choosing, the family have to hunt her and kill her, essentially. And that is basically the plot of the film, and she has to sort of, you know, get away from them and fight back. It sounds great on paper, this film, and I was really sold by the premise, but I've got to admit I was a bit underwhelmed by this film, and I'm not too sure about going to see the second one now. I thought it was okay, but I don't know if I just wasn't in the right mood when I watched it, but yeah, I just felt it was going to be better from the premise. It had some funny moments, it had some good gore, it does have a pretty good ending, but yeah, it's not a film I'm going to be rushing back to watch anytime soon. So yeah, that is Ready or Not. Next up, we have another brand new release from Arrow Video, and it is Salem's Lot on 4K. So again, I did an unboxing for this video where I gave my full thoughts on this release and the movie. So if you want to watch that video, I'll leave the link in the description below. So yeah, I'm not going to say too much more than that, but I love this movie. One of my favourite horror films from the 1970s. You know, probably the most atmospheric horror film of all time, and yeah, I just love it to death, and I can't wait to watch it on 4K. So yeah, that is Salem's Lot. Next up, we have a brand new release from 88 Films. This is a spaghetti western, and it is Shango. So I've not watched this film yet, so I can't really talk too much about it. But yeah, as I said, spaghetti western, and from what I've read of the plot, it's about this villainous gang that come to this small town. They terrorize the town whilst they're looking for gold, and this Texas Ranger comes to town in order to put a stop to them. And yeah, I can't really say much more than that because I haven't watched the movie yet, but I do like my spaghetti westerns, so I'm looking forward to watching it. And yeah, very nice release from 88 Films. So yeah, that is Shango. Next up, we have another Chuck Norris movie, and we have Slaughter in San Francisco. So yeah, this is one of Chuck Norris's earliest films. I think it came out in 1974 under the title Yellow-Faced Tiger, I think, and it only ever came out in Hong Kong and it kind of disappeared into obscurity. But then it got re-released in America a number of years later after Chuck Norris found his fame. And I'd always been put off by this film because of the bad reputation it has and the bad reviews, but I watched it the other day and I thought it was okay. Wasn't amazing, but it was a very solid martial arts film. I believe when it was being developed, it was actually being developed with Bruce Lee in mind, but he sadly passed away before the film could get made, so they ended up getting Wong Tao to take his place. And yeah, it's a pretty decent film, like I said. Chuck Norris plays the main villain. Wong Tao plays the sort of the police officer who's trying to take him down, to take Chuck Norris down, because he sort of rules the sort of the criminal underworld, if you like. And it ends with a really good fight scene between the two of them. And yeah, like I said, it's not an amazing film, but it's definitely not as bad as the reviews would lead you to believe. So yeah, that is Slaughter in San Francisco. Next up, we have another 4K release from Arrow Video, another new release by them, and it is Spaceballs by Mel Brooks. And yeah, this is a childhood favourite comedy of mine. I don't need to go into details about the plot. It's basically a Star Wars parody, but it's got a great cast in there. You've got Mel Brooks playing two characters. He plays Yogurt and he plays President Scrooge. You've got John Candy, Rick Moranis. You've got Bill Pullman in there. And yeah, it's just such a funny film and one that I love so dearly from my childhood. So yeah, I was always going to get this release from Arrow Video. And yeah, I can't really say much more than that. That is Spaceballs. Next up, we have The Tai Chi Master from 88 Films. This is a martial arts film from the early 90s starring Jet Li and Michelle Yeoh. And I've not actually watched this one yet, so I can't really say all that much about it, but I've heard really good things about it. This is the Blu-ray version. I opted to go with the Blu-ray instead of the 4K. I just kind of decided, I didn't really need the 4K. I think the Blu-ray would be fine for these sorts of releases. So yeah, not watched the movie yet, but I do look forward to checking it out. So yeah, that is The Tai Chi Master. And then lastly, we have a 4K for a movie I've been wanting to rewatch for a good few weeks, and it is Weapons. So yeah, I saw this film on the back end of last year on a trip away with a bunch of other YouTubers. I'm sure a lot of you will probably be aware, but yeah, you had myself, you had Andy from Forgotten World of Movies, you had Nige, Rock God 2004, you had Carlos, Eastwood for Life fan, Mike, the other retro guy, Pete, Playtendo guy, and Scott, the movie critic. Don't know if there was anyone else. I can't think of anyone else. I'm really sorry if I've forgotten anyone else, but no, I think that was everyone. But yeah, I've been wanting to rewatch this film for a while, and you know what? I think I enjoyed this even more on a rewatch. This is a fantastic horror film. I love the way the story's told. I love the sort of, it's sort of in chapters with different characters' perspectives. Very, very good way of telling the story. And it's got some very, very effective horror moments in it. Seeing it in the cinema was one thing, but even on a rewatch, there were certain moments I completely forgotten about. And yeah, there's just some great moments in this film. But yeah, it's a fantastic horror film, one to check out if you've not seen it. So yeah, that is Weapons. So there you go, guys. Those are all of my Blu-ray and 4K and DVD pickups from the last month or so. Really hope you've enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen any of these films. What do you think of them? Have you picked up any of these particular releases? Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts. So I'll leave it there, guys. Thanks again for watching. Take care, and I'll see you all on the next one. So, see you guys.